The RM Power Tools VD Exporter, or Variable Data Exporter, is a tool for InDesign and originally a program called CorelDraw. InDesign is an industry standard graphic design program used for laying out just about anything that's going to get printed. Variable data are variable data is the section of the newsletter or the mailing piece that would get replaced with the recipient's name. So right here where it says valued Governor Ranch homeowner, that when it actually goes to print would say something like John and Jane Smith or Alan and Bill Witchcock or something to that extent. Uh, and it's important that the designer, the person who sets up these pieces, first of all takes these little chunks and puts them into Microsoft Word and then formats those chunks, and then this will assist the prepress department in making the file that they need to make. Now, the designer also has to export their design so it doesn't have these pieces of text on it, and that way prepress can go and insert the recipient's name. So what originally was happening was the designers were spending a lot of time once they were going to put their files into production. They're spending a lot of time removing these chunks from the design and then reformatting the chunks in Microsoft Word, and also making a bunch of mistakes along the way because the process is pretty tedious and pretty time consuming. So what this script does, and as I said, it was originally made in CorelDraw. And CorelDraw, while it's not made by Microsoft, actually does have a VBA interface in it. So in that case, it was relatively simple, and VBA could be used, Visual Basic, for applications. This is a programming language that controls a bunch of Microsoft products. Originally, it could be made. The VD exporter in CorelDraw was a lot easier to make because it only involved VBA. Whereas for InDesign, it involves both a JavaScript. I'm gonna launch this script so we can see what I'm talking about. And it involves a JavaScript front end, which is what you see here. And then when export VD, and I'm going to go ahead and do this. Basically, when the tool launches, it looks through the document for what it's thinking is the variable data, and it has a cascading number of guesses that it uses to figure out what is the proper the proper names to remove. Because in this case, it says valued Governor Ranch homeowners, but sometimes just default text of John and Jane Smith is used, or future friends and family. All of those things, all of those names can be in the document, as well as just whatever the designer had chosen, had picked when they set the document up originally. And what this does is when the script launches, it goes through the document and comes up with what it thinks is the best guess for what that name is supposed to be. However, if it guesses wrong, it can always be changed. In this case, it guessed right, so I'm going to keep it as is. And then, so if I hit Export VD, the Export VD button on this, what's going to happen is it's going to look for all the text boxes within this InDesign document that have this first and last name in it. And then it's going to export those pieces to Microsoft Word, and it's going to, so if we're going to zoom in here, you can see this right here where it says prepared especially for. Now this matches our InDesign, I'll close it. This matches our InDesign document where it says prepared especially for. And then over here where it says dear, zoom in on this, it's a little hard to see. Right here where it says dear valued Governor Ranch homeowner, and then life is moving at a different pace. Now this, as we call it, is the call to action. Now this entire chunk is what prepress is going to be formatting on their own end and replacing throughout all of the documents. So we can see also it exports some color values to let prepress know what colors to use, and it also is exporting a couple of other notes, just indicating to the prepress department that this text should be in all caps. It's got a couple of rules built into it, just as time went on. Once the original was made, the prepress department added some extra stuff, or requested that I add some extra stuff to this script to communicate what needs to be done a little bit better. So the other part, I will have to launch the scripts palette again. The other part of this exports and I don't want to overwrite the saved file, so let me change this up. Now what this will do is it will create a PDF, and it will remove the variable data. So I'm going to go ahead and hit export, and this will take a couple of seconds to get going. And what this does is it gives the prepress department one second. It gives the prepress department a document that has blanked out areas where that variable data would be. So if we go, this is a good example right here above this laptop image. If we were to look at the InDesign document, I'll get this out of the way again. If we were to look at the InDesign document, we'd see that there's a big chunk of text that's been removed. So this macro, or this script, is two function. One makes the Word document for prepress to use, and the other makes a set of PDFs. I mean, it can also export up to 3 PDFs at once for all the different versions that the designer is going to have to use, because one of the versions is going to have to go as an email proof to the client, whereas another version is going to go to production as a sample file and needs that variable data. It's all pretty complicated, or at least complex. So rather than go into too much detail, this alleviates quite a few steps for the graphic designers, as well as increases the accuracy of the designer by removing a bunch of steps that can get screwed up along the way. So it could be estimated that this would save anywhere from 5 to maybe 10 minutes per design, which are done hundreds of times a month. And these scripts have been in use for years. As I was saying, there was a CorelDraw script that was in use for quite some time before the company upgraded to the InDesign model. So over the years, this script has saved a ton of time, a ton of errors, which all equates to a ton of money. So that is the variable data exporter.